Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are. Welcome to the Hotspot this Sunday. Here again with the latest Manchester United news. My name is Webb. Subscribe and let's continue now. The biggest one that is coming through is that United is going back to plan number one and Victor Osimhen is re-emerging in conversations. Of course, the latest focus for United has been mostly on Mason Mount, but after Chelsea refusing the third and final bid from Man United, United have slowed down. They are saying we are not increasing by a single penny. It is 50 million plus 5 million pounds in add-ons or nothing. Chelsea are saying we can meet next week and have a conversation about this. 58 million plus 7 million is the counter bid that Chelsea is giving Man United, but United are saying for the first time we'll be doing the right thing and we are not increasing this by a penny. Well, one more good thing done by John Mata and his team in terms of trying to improve their record as negotiators. But anyhow, let's go to Victor Osimhen now. Reports that came through this morning from France did suggest that Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester United are planning to meet the representatives of Victor Osimhen next week. Now, I don't want to refute or confirm these reports. They did come in from a journalist in France. He's a fairly decent journalist, to be honest. But here's the thing, guys. We're here in having our summer transfer window going, taking all directions, left, right, and center, up and down, and everywhere. And nothing seems to be concrete and done with a single player. But here, I've been thinking critically about this. And I was saying, whereas we know we don't have so much money to spend, mostly because of the financial fair play, and what we know is that the budget that is there, guaranteed for United, is 120 million pounds. But we are open to selling players, a few players that can raise us a cool 80 or even 90 million pounds from the squad that we have. So we can be able to raise about 200 million. And I've been thinking critically about how this money should be spent by Manchester United. Guys, we are Manchester United, the biggest football club in the world. We should be bold enough to bid for the biggest players in the world, the hottest players. And it is in this summer transfer window that you want to go toe-to-toe with the biggest clubs for the hottest players. And this is why I was thinking, how about if, yes, whereas this is just a report coming through from France, like I said, it's a fairly believable report, and there's no reason to question it because we know clearly Eric Ten Hag is a big fan of Victor Osimhen, and so Osimhen is young, he's 24. For me, from the start, he has always been my number one choice of a player for Man United to go for if the money was available. But thinking about it now, Victor Osimhen is valued at 50 million euros by Aurelio De Laurentiis. That is the toughest man to hold conversations with when it comes to transfers in the world, probably. The filmmaker from Italy, the owner of Napoli, and he's the chief, of course, in charge running things. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Whereas this player is too pricey, United should be going for the hottest players in the world. United should not be seen going back and forth with a team like Chelsea for a player who is not world class like Mason Mount. More so, if he's not going to bring in goals. Victor Osimhen's 31 goals in all competitions last season really opened the eyes of the world to how hot a player he is. He's totally world class. There's no questions about that. He scored goals in the Serie A, a tough league, scored goals in the Champions League. He won the Serie A for Napoli. So he's a world class player and he's in his prime. So for me, these are the players Manchester United should be bold enough to bid for. And you see, it doesn't even matter whether we fail in the bidding. We should be there, involved in the conversations with the hottest player about the hottest players in the world. We shouldn't be chasing in having closed door conversations with players like Mason Mount who are not world class, being ripped off and cornered by a team like Chelsea. When the hottest players in the world are there and available on the market, they can be sold. Napoli has not said they are not open to selling and listening to offers, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with United coming out and bidding for Victor Osimhen, and Napoli said no, it's okay. But you see, if you're the biggest club in the world, you should be bold enough to go and attack the biggest players in the world. And if I think about it, I actually think for this summer it would make sense for Manchester United to sacrifice whatever monies they have and solve the striking position with a world-class striker. And maybe any spillovers that we left with, any leftover money we have, we spend on either a central midfielder and a goalkeeper if we can, or a central midfielder and a defender and keep David De Gea. That wouldn't be the worst of things because the biggest issue we have is a striker. So how about, and I've been thinking, how about those talks go ahead and happen and Manchester United, because I believe if United do put their negotiating game right, and of course now that's a tall order to expect from Richard Arnold and John Mata. It's difficult for them to negotiate. If they can fail to negotiate for 40 million for Mason Mount, really, it's probably going to be with Chelsea. It's probably going to be harder for them to negotiate with Napoli and Aurelio De Laurentiis for 100 million pounds for Victor Osimhen. But I think, whereas we don't have so much money to spend, I think United, if we are so intentional, we can go ahead, bid for Osimhen, of course, go for with an initial, let's say, 70 million pounds. He's got 2 years left on his contract. You can go for with an initial 75 million plus maybe 15 million pounds in add-ons as the initial bid, almost the same bid that that Arsenal offered for Declan Rice. If Arsenal can bid for that much for a player, why isn't United being involved in those conversations? What business do we have going for unproven players, the Rasmus Højlunds of this world, for the Mason Mounts of this world? I'm thinking we should be in whole conversations with the hottest players, about the hottest players in the world. We shouldn't be fearing to go and knock the door of Napoli and try to sign Victor Osimhen. For me, this is where United should be playing. If you're a top club, you should be playing the top game. Man City and Arsenal are top clubs right now, and they're in the top game of players like Declan Rice. Rice is one of the hottest players in the world. So for me, I think United should be there in those conversations. We slept on the job. We left on. We sort of went to sleep, and Chelsea took a good player that Man United want in McAllister. We can't be doing the same. It's possible for United to sign a hot player like Victor Osimhen because we are big. We've got that negotiating power now because we are a big club. So for me, my thinking is, how about United? Let's say we can negotiate, and I believe it can happen, to buy Victor Osimhen for 100 million pounds, sorting the striking role. Forget about the younger, unproven striker. Victor Osimhen solves both. He's proven, he's world class, and he's young. So you don't need another striker on top of him. So go get Victor Osimhen for 100 million pounds. Then the remainder, because then we can be able to raise from the Freds of this world, from the Scott McTominays of this world, we can be able to raise another about Anthony Martial, Anthony Elanga. We can be able to raise another about 80 or 90 million pounds. Now, with that 80 and 90, go sign a central midfielder. And I don't even care, by the way, at the very worst, if United got the entire budget and bought 2 players. That's Victor Osimhen, a striker, for 100 million, and Moises Caicedo for about 75. Because I'm sure they can maybe an extra 5 or 10 in add-ons. I'm sure Brighton can take that money because Caicedo is still in the conversation. I think that would be a very successful summer transfer window, and we would be able to compete and try to match the biggest clubs. But the talk that United has going on now around all these bunch of nobody players, unproven players, I feel like it's a wrong mentality for a big club like Manchester United. We should be playing the big game in conversations with the hottest players in the world. We should be fearless and go for them. So for me, I think actually that those talks should happen, go ahead and happen next week. I think United should be focused now. Forget about wasting money on Mason Mount. Save that 55 million or 65 or 78 plus 7 that Chelsea wants. Go for Victor Osimhen. We can negotiate and get Victor Osimhen for 100 million. It is okay, he's worth it. I'm sure, because there is no guarantee for Napoli that Victor Osimhen, with 2 years left on his contract, I'm sure certainly he will not be willing to extend his contract. Osimhen does not want to spend the rest of his peak career playing in the Serie A. He has done it. Napoli is not going to win the Serie A again. They're not going to win the Champions League. Certainly, his best season in the Serie A ended last season when they won it and when they competed until I think the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Then it's not going to get any better than that for Victor Osimhen. So as a player, he will be seeking a bigger challenge. He wants to follow in the footsteps of his role model. That's Didier Drogba. This is the opportunity. He's got to move for the right price when he's hot. I don't think De Laurentiis would not be open to listening to an offer worth about 100 million plus maybe a few extra pounds in add-ons because he's the hottest striker right now in the world. I'm sure United can go and negotiate that deal. Get Victor Osimhen now. Put him on £350,000 per week. It's okay. Even if it's more, it's okay. He's worth it. Sorting the striking position. Forget about Rasmus Højlund. He's unproven. He's young. Osimhen is almost equally young. He's just 3 years older. He's young, he's proven, he's world class. Spend 100 million on Victor Osimhen. Go on in the market, find a holding midfielder or a central midfielder. They are there. If it means going toe to toe with again, those are the battles we should be in. United should be fighting with Arsenal and Chelsea for Moises Caicedo. We should be fearless. We should know we have the allure for the hottest players. Go toe to toe with Chelsea for Moises Caicedo. He's a fan of Manchester United. Go pay 80 million for Moises Caicedo. It's okay. That's 180, but you're solving two big long-term problems for you. Even if this window ended, stick with David De Gea. Lisandro Martinez is coming back, trying to bounce back on fit, come back fit. Go on and start the season with Moises Caicedo and a threatening striker up front, Marcus Rashford as well in there, flying in from the flanks. You've got a proper target man, and Anthony or whoever in the other forward position. I think United will be competitive and will be threatening. But you see, even if we went on and signed all these mediocre players that were being linked with Rasmus Højlund, not proven, not world class yet. Yes, he's promising, he's a decent player, but he's not going to threaten anyone. He's not a striker who is going to stand in front of you and you're intimidated the way Erling Haaland would intimidate. So for me, my thinking is United should be fearless. Go on with those conversations like it has been reported about Victor Osimhen. Go on, go toe to toe with the biggest clubs. Because of your Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, certainly players, especially players who are not born in the UK, they will be interested in joining Manchester United over all the other clubs in England, because that's how big United is. It's a huge honor for an African player, a player from Nigeria like Osimhen, to be wanted to even play for Manchester United. He will perhaps put in a transfer request. For me, I think these are the battles we should be in. A player from Ecuador or West Africa, Moises Caicedo, he will be excited to play for Manchester United. He's revealed he's a fan of a team like United. They will be excited to play for United. Pay 80 million, 180 million in this window. United can raise that money, sell a few players. Even if we signed only those two, we have a strong midfield, a strong attack with balance, because our defense wasn't the worst. David De Gea won the Golden Boot. Stick with David De Gea for 1 more year. Give him a 1-year contract extension. Even if he wants to remain on the same wages, it's okay. Keep David De Gea around. Don't sell Dean Henderson. Let him be his number 2. Let us sort the bigger problems we have. For me, I think in the situation we have, of course, when stability comes then, maybe in January, we can't be able now to go and bid for the other players. Look for a goalkeeper if you want one. Try to go and get a centre-back from France. We should be able to get one, Todibo or whoever. But solve your biggest problems first and solve them with the best players in the world. So for me, it would make sense now for United, who have now said they are shifting attention away from Mason Mount. I don't want even to hear the talk of the offer being still available for Chelsea to go take their time and think about it and come back and we lose 55 million for Mason Mount. That money should be topped up to get us world-class players, a world-class striker and a world-class central midfielder. And that is Moises Caicedo and Victor Osimhen. Even if we bought only those two in this window, it will be a successful window for me. Guys, let me know what you think. Imagining a midfield of Moises Caicedo, Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes. Up front, you've got Victor Osimhen. I don't care about who is in the defense. Already you've got a good midfield shielding your backline. So even if it's Victor Lindelof playing together with Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw on the left and Wan-Bissaka on the right, David De Gea in goal, I think we will still be competitive. Yes, that's my thinking. Give me your opinion in the comment section and subscribe. My name is Webb. This is the Hotspot.